from passport offices to embassies and then international airports.
About to go through the security checks in the airport.
They are young, educated, skillful, but desperate to leave. A vast wave of emigration is sweeping through Nigeria.
Good day and welcome to the Blue Table Talk Show. This is a talk show that talks about migration issues. On the Blue Table Talk Show, we address all migration realities. We talk about the realities of destination country policies. We talk about misinformation and disinformation about migration issues. And we help Nigerians to make informed migration decisions. And we're excited to say, welcome back to another season. Today's episode of the show, I have with me a renowned migration expert. I have somebody who needs no introduction, but whom I will have to introduce. I have a giant in the migration space, someone whose work and his legend has gone ahead of him. And I'm going to start and introduce to us today Comrade Osita Osemene, who is the Executive Director of Patriotic Citizens Initiative. Thank you so much and you're welcome on today's episode of the Blue Table Talk Show.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And before we go on, and we have a lot to unpack with Comrade Osita, our correspondent, Miko Banti, was on the streets talking to Nigerians and asking them what their thoughts were about migration issues, especially irregular migration. We're going to take a break now as we join Miko Banti on the streets of Lagos.
So I want to ask your view regarding Japa or irregular migration.
Yeah.
But what will be your view regarding Japa syndrome, where they happen now for Nigeria? Or you don't hear about irregular migration? I bet just talk something about what you understand about irregular migration or the Japa syndrome. What's your view?
Okay, the regular migration is very rampant now, and I really don't blame people for leaving the country. But the mistake people make is that they don't have a concrete plan before moving. Everybody just keeps hearing Japa, Japa, and you too, you want to Japa. I believe before you Japa, make your research, do your research, be sure that you have a plan B, because if plan A doesn't work, you can always switch to the, and don't depend on agents. I feel like some agents are just there to, to take advantage of the Japa syndrome, and a lot of people have been falling victim of it. Just do the proper thing before you leave the country.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Regarding
this Japa and the risks of regular migration, right now in Nigeria, now people want Japa, and people are mistaking Japa legally and irregularly.
Yes.
So I don't know what's your view about this whole syndrome right now.
Okay, basically, for me personally, I don't. It's not something I subscribe to. I have never contemplated living in this country because I think Nigeria is a great country and has lots of potentials. We have everything here. For me, I can't imagine how I would go and be a second-class citizen in another man's country, being treated badly and all of that. So for me personally, it's not something I would do. But I understand why people want to Japa. The state of the country and the economy is terrible. People are suffering. Our leaders are not doing, well. They're not doing so much to ease the pain of people. So people are looking for greener pastures. What's happening is like water. Once you can't contain water for too long. It has to find an escape route. So people would definitely look for better alternatives, better opportunities for their families. These economies are stable. 1 plus 1 is going to give you 2, as opposed to Nigeria. You can wake up one morning and then there's a government policy that, or there's a change in government where everything you hold there, changes, There's no certainty or assurance about anything in this country. The insecurity is there, banditry, and then basically, life is hard for people, So when people want to Japa, I can't even blame them, because they're trying to better their lives and that of their children. To be very candid with you, if I tell you that it's not something that has crossed my mind, I'm lying, but I just can't bring myself to do it.
Thank you so much. View or your understanding about regular migration?
The regular migration, from my own understanding, it's people traveling the legal way, right?
Yes.
Going to find greener pastures abroad. I think that's, from my own view, that's what regular migration is.
Irregular migration is actually risky. And what do you think? What's your advice for people traveling through irregular routes?
Okay, irregular, you said.
Yes.
The risk is so high, but with the situation of the country, everybody wants to just leave. Rice we used to buy at 20-something thousand naira early this year, we are buying it for 50-something thousand now. I'm just wondering how families are coping with the situation of the country. It's not funny. Okay, like right now I'm going to work. The work is not even paying me what I want because transportation is taking everything. Feeding, you're talking if you want to do a normal feeding outside, you cooking at home. Right now I'm carrying my lunch to the work. If I want to do actual cooking, as in want to buy food from outside, I know how much it costs me. Those salaries are not helping. So if you find a way of leaving the country, it's just the best. Many people, in fact, I have so many friends that have left the country irregular, as in the illegal way. They've gone the illegal way. Some of them went by boats. They don't even mind the country right now. Anywhere will do. Let them just leave Nigeria. And the situation is tough. And I'm just wondering how families are coping.
What do you think, like the amount these people pay to go through that irregular route?
Some people pay less than even 500,000.
Wow.
So people pay very less, very cheap. They don't mind going through the bush part, the desert, anyway. So I had, me and my colleague were discussing last week Friday, told me that one of his friends traveled out of the country. I said, this person I know cannot even feed himself, cannot feed his family. He traveled out. I said, how did he do it? He said he collected loan first. He collected loan of 200,000. I said, then how can 200,000 take you out of the country? Say he's going to go through Cotonou. Okay. He passed through border. Sorry.
No, it's interesting.
He will take through Cotonou, cut from Cotonou to Ghana, and from Ghana to anywhere he finds himself. So it's not funny. What if he dies on the way?
So what's your advice for Nigerians, especially the youth that are going through that route? What do you think? What have for them? Just say something to advise about this route.
Well, for me, it's a no-no. Anything that is not legal is a no-no for me because one, the risk is high. If you get caught, jail is there for you, debts. In fact, so many things are at stake. For me, the youth should be patient. It will take time, right? Everything is just absorbed right now and everything is just going awkward. But we should be patient. Maybe by God's grace, we just hope, in as much as the country believes in God, everything is going to be fine. Let's just be patient, do our best. Entrepreneurs, they are trying, but the business is not even falling in places. Some people, you have 200,000, you cannot even start a normal business. I just pray God will help us in this country.
Do you plan to Japa?
Legal way.
Thank you. Questions about, have you heard about irregular migration before?
Regular migration? No.
Some people travel through Libya, desert, to get to Europe. So I don't know, have you heard about it or what's your view?
Yes, I've heard about it.
So what's your view?
I feel those guys, I think they are taking the highest risk. They do not love their life. Because if you love your life as a human being, why would you pass through that route to Europe? It's not for them. I think 80% of them died and only 20% make it. Yes. And that's not a good percentage to look at. Because how would you travel to, because I heard of a regular guy that traveled. I've been watching them. Said when they get to desert, they'll pass the desert, they will drink their pee, nothing to eat. You get all those things are difficult things. Not meant for everybody. I can't do it. I like easy some things.
So what's your advice for those that are planning to travel through that route?
I would just advise, actually our advice, I cannot force them. You get? My advice simply is, if you know your destiny is outside the country, then go training with a van. Even one that is even higher than the desert route. So you get. But for me, if I will travel to any country, I will go through the plane or jet or helicopter. And the country I would like to travel to right now is China. That's me.
So I know you want to Japa to China.
Yeah.
Do you know the process, what you need to do?
I don't know yet, but I will Japa to China, then come back to Nigeria because I love my country. I don't joke with my country.
Okay, so try through the legal routes.
That's what.
Through the legal routes.
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you so much. All right.
So welcome back to the Blue Table Talk Show. My name is Enitan Ibironke and I'm the anchor for the Blue Table Talk Show. And with me in the studio today is Comrade Osita, who is the Executive Director of Patriotic Citizens Initiative. You have heard what the people on the streets have said, and I know that none of the things that the people on the streets have said is new to you. So I will jump right in with my first question to you. What are your thoughts on the reasons why people engage in irregular migration, such as crossing borders without documentation, or even deciding to go through the desert or the Mediterranean? Please, what are your thoughts on this, comrade?
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity to talk about issues of migration. I'm going to talk about it from different angles in terms of both irregular and regular, because a lot of people are also moving out in a regular manner as a result of the same reason why people are moving out on an irregular manner. You know, it's rampant in terms of irregular because of the situation people see themselves now, the current reality in Nigeria. You and I know that everybody is looking for safety. Everybody is looking for how to survive. Everybody is looking for easy way of, a smooth way of making sure that the family is doing well. And looking at the situation in the country now, in terms of enabling environment, you can agree with me that we have a problem. And that is one of the fueling factor that is making a lot of people move. Look at the issue of unemployment. Look at the issue of families not being able to meet up with expectations in terms of feeding, bills, and all these things. And people are not finding it easy. And the truth is, if things are not working out fine, people tend to move. They want to move to a place where they find things easy. So, and that is what migration is actually all about. Migration is all about movement from one place to another to settle and make a living. You know, so you can't rule that out. And Nigeria is one of the countries that you have a lot of youths and a lot of families trying to move to ensure that, you know, they survive and they meet up with the expectations and also have a good life. You know, look at our roads, look at there's no light, you know, there is no, a lot of things. There are no social amenities, you know, the social network is weak. You know, so there are a lot of things that are really pushing a lot of people. You see people when they are broke, they don't have anybody to support them. Sure. The system is broken. The system cannot even provide you with health, normal things that can be free in other countries. So people want to go to a place where they can be respected and also they can have access to some of these things. And that is why the street is boiling.
Well, I like that last line that the streets is boiling. But I have a question for you coming on the heels of what you have just said now.
Yeah.
So do you actually think that this issue of migration, whether irregular or regular, poses an economic or security challenge to either the destination countries or even to home country? We in Nigeria, what are the economic implications of migration? And even for the destination countries they are going to, are there any economic or security challenges attached to this?
Yes. Globally, migration is a very, very positive dimension in terms of development, if properly managed. If Nigeria understands what migration is, be it regular or irregular, if it is properly managed, it will be for development and it will bring some gains. But if they are not serious about it and they don't understand that if migration is not properly managed, especially the irregular aspect, even the regular, because we're going to have brain drains in the regular aspect. But the irregular aspect in terms of insecurity, in terms of adverse effect, when people return, you know, and the people who are stranded or people who were victims of trafficking, coming back with different complications and are not properly checkmated, you know, they can pose a threat to the system and to the society. You have a lot of people who travel irregularly and they become, when after being dehumanized, you know, they become hardened. And some of them turned up becoming traffickers. They become smugglers because of neglect. So if it is being properly managed, you know, irregular migration can also be for development, because people who return back, if they are properly guided and well, you know, taken care of, they could turn back to become positive agents in the society. The same thing with the regular migration in terms of remittances and development coming back into the country. You know, when these people are actually also well managed and issues of migration management, looking at the gains, you know, some of these things could be gain to Nigeria and they could bring development to the country.
Well, thank you. That was quite a lot that you packed in there. But I have two questions that came from that. And I will ask you the first one now. So you see, you mentioned remittances. I also mentioned those that come back that are in Nigeria. But my question that I would ask you first would be, have you or someone you know actually embarked on this irregular migration journey and returned, or even just embarked?
A lot of people who have embarked that I know, that are even working with. Even personally myself, I embarked on irregular migration, and today I'm in Nigeria and I'm doing my work. And I'm sustained. I'm sufficiently contributing to the system. So, and there are a lot of people we have worked with that are also there irregularly, and that are back and they are staying back. You know, so I think that is, it depends on the way people see, you know, the situation on ground, and also the ability, especially those who have returned, who went irregularly, the ability to see Nigeria as a place where they can actually stay and also face the challenges. You know, it takes quite a lot of time, but there are a lot of people who have done that and have taken the decision to stay back and contribute to the system.
Thank you. Now, you are the executive director for PCI.
Yes.
Because I'm so used to calling you PCI.
PCI, that's the acronym, yeah.
Yes. Now, please tell us a bit about PCI and the work that you're doing in this migration space. I'm asking this because you have alluded to the fact that a lot of people have come back, and even yourself have come back and are doing well. And I want to know exactly what your organization is doing in this migration space.
Yes. Once upon a time, myself embarked on this journey due to what I told you, issue of enabling environment to succeed. There was lack of job, and desperation came in. And when the desperation came in, the opportunity that was available was to leave for Europe, like every other youth in Nigeria aspiring now, you know, and without looking at the consequences, without looking at the informations available, you know, as at that point, every information that came to me was actually a reality to me, because I was at the point of giving up. I've given up Nigeria. You know, and when I got to the journey, actually embarked on the journey, went through the Sahara Desert. The journey which I embarked was see Morocco, see Spain. But on transit, it became Libya. You know, because there was irregular migration does not actually give you a direction. Whatever you see on the road, that is what you take. So, but when I got there, and in the course of the journey, I saw a lot of atrocities. And, you know, I saw myself as somebody who is not doing the right thing, you know, but I didn't have any option because that was the available option. Before then, I acquired a visa and passport, you know, and they were all fake. And I was turned down at the airport because that was not my intention. I didn't have any intention of going through the road. It was when that disappointment came that the idea of road came in, because the marketers or the sellers of that trip made it look as if it was a tourist journey, and capitalized on my frustration at that point, and said, okay, it is by the time you get to Niger, it's going to be like a tourist journey. There will be a flight. And you know, at that point, my mind and my focus was Europe. I didn't have any other option. I was not looking at, I've never heard about the dangers then, which means that information is very key. So I went into that, and I saw myself seeing a lot of Nigerian youths running out as if there was a war in the country. You know, they were all in a haste to get to their destination, and the destination is Europe. It's either they are going to Italy, or they are going to Spain, or they are going to Germany, any part of the Europe. And I was wondering, why will I subject myself to this? I couldn't return back because I'd already given up this side. I wanted to see the end of the journey. But after all the horrible experiences, I eventually got to Libya, you know, with hiding inside the boot, sleeping in ghetto houses and all this. And when I got there, I asked myself a question: does it really worth it? And is that how somebody will leave his country, my comfort zone? Because with all those experiences, I now saw myself that I was comfortable actually in Nigeria.
Can you
understand? And having passed through all this, will I not get to Europe and they will tell me welcome? I was like, what? I left the back, and I only saw myself at a point in Libya with boxers and a shirt. a t-shirt. You know, so you will now be asking yourself, are you going to Europe like this? So it was at that point I decided, after some months, you know, I decided to return back to Nigeria. And in my course of returning, I said, well, I have noticed a gap that there was no proper information. Even though youths are desperate, that when they are provided with necessary information, they will know what to do at the right time. So I looked at it, I said, if I have the privilege and the opportunity to return back alive, I am going to start a massive and aggressive campaign, which eventually I returned back. But one of the things I did that gave me the courage and the confidence till today is that I had to go for what they called self-reintegration and rehabilitation, because the experience I had is not something you just come back and jump into, that you are a returnee, you want to tell. No. You first of all need to heal yourself. You first of all need to even believe in yourself. You know, and you first of all need to build that confidence and remove this issue of stigmatization, because that journey can make you feel less of a human being. It can make you look at yourself with a very low self-esteem. You know, I had to work on myself. And when I finished that 1 year, I had to relocate to a place where nobody knew about me. I went to the northern part of Nigeria. And after 1 year, like I said, I came down to the south and I started the campaign. We started it with media campaign, with advocacy, meeting with a lot of people, and identified some mentors like the late Ambassador Olusegun Olushola, African Refugee Foundation, who gave me a space in his office where I started working and I started receiving correspondence, doing meetings. He supported us and said it's a very great campaign because he works with refugees and, you know, and he knew the importance of campaign. In the process of working, we were reviewing the process, because if you want to respond to things like this, you need to put in some structures in place, structures that can intervene, that can assist these youths. If you ask them not to go, what are you going to keep for them? If you bring them back and you want them to stay in Nigeria, how are you going to cope with them? What are the things you need to put in place? And we have, in a way, in our organization, because of the experience and what we have tried to make sure that we address issue of stranded migrants, people who return back, and people who want to go.
Okay, so thank you. That leads me to what I was about to ask you next. What do you think agencies, NGOs, CSO, and government can do? One, to curb this issue of irregular migration. Then two, because we're talking about what people should know about migration. What can they do now, even for those that have returned and are dealing with the trauma of it?
Yes. You and I know that people are hungry and they are not happy. A hungry man is an angry man. And you also know that when people want to go, they are going because they feel that what they are doing here is not really paying them much. So if you want to guide such a person, you need to provide a more robust or a more economic viable opportunity for such a person. That is for people on ground here. Then for people who have gone and returned back, there is every possibility of either remigrating or becoming a victim of trafficking, especially those that have not gotten to Europe. They will want to get to that Europe. If they are alive to come back, still the condition remains the same. So you must have to ensure that you provide them with a kind of enabling environment. And what are those enabling environment? Like in our organization, we are those people that work, most of the people that are working with us in PCI are people who have returned. And we try to ensure that they make their daily living and also understand the rudiments of life. Because you see, people in that category, they are always in a hurry, especially the irregular migrants category. They are this kind of people that, because of their experience, if they are not properly handled, they will never trust you. There's this trust issue. So you need to take them through a mentoring section, which we do. And for the fact that I, who initiated the organization, has gone through that, and I came back and I'm stabilized. I still keep on telling them, I said, I am very stable in Nigeria. Since I came back, if I drop my visa in any embassy, within 24 hours, they have stamped it. Why? Because I took time to build credibility. So I keep on telling them, I said, empowerment is not about money. There is what they call mental capacity, mental empowerment, this courage that people begin to see somebody. And I told them, I said, when I came back, I decided that I should have a mentor. I looked at a mentor. I was able to get an elderly person. Then I asked him how he started. He told me. I said, most of these things, you need information to build how you can survive. Today, we run a shelter in Nigeria, the only male shelter in Nigeria, and a 40-bed space. How did it come about? It's about courage. It's not about fund. It was when we started it that one or two organizations like IOM came in and supported. And they supported it. Today, for the past 2 years, we have been running it. We have been maintaining it. And people who are working there are return migrants to support other return migrants, to ensure that they stabilize back. So what am I saying? For some of these people to get it, they need to also be looking up to people, So for every organization or government that are working in this space, they should create that opportunity for people in this kind of category to see them as those who can build them, not those who will destroy them. It's not everybody that understands the plight of return migrants.
Yes,
there are a lot of people who see them as, like me, I don't see them as people I'm helping. And the moment you see them as people you are helping, you are going to miss the target. You will not be able to sustain whatever you are doing for them. But by the time you start working with them, that it is my duty to ensure that people do what they are supposed to do. It is my duty to ensure that, okay, these people should get information in the proper way, where they are going to get passports, where they are going to get maybe advice on how to travel. Not that because in Nigeria, a lot of people take advantage of people. By the time they see them as return migrants and they have gone through a lot of things, some people will even make things worse for them the way it was. Yeah. So agencies should begin to wake up to their responsibility, especially government agencies. They should look at their mandate. Most of them have the mandate of providing employment for the youths, but they have left that mandate and they are doing a different thing. Some of them have the mandate of training the youth on skill acquisition. I remember when we were growing up, when I was younger, skill acquisition is free. We have technical schools.
Yes, please.
Functioning, but these days they have intentionally and deliberately killed those, and that is what is affecting what we're talking about now.
Very true. Yeah. Very true. Anyway, dear viewers, as you're watching, you are still on the Blue Table Talk Show, the migration talk show that helps Nigerians make informed migration decisions. My name is Enitan Ibironke, and my guest in the studio today is Comrade Osita, who is the Executive Director of PCI. Now, to round off our very interesting and engaging conversation, because we don't want you to go, and we have delved into so many areas, but I want to now bring it all home and ask you two simple questions. So what I would want you to shed some light on migration terminology. Simple things. People feel that they can get up. We're talking today what you need to know about migration. People feel I can apply for asylum. I can just go. Simple things. Just shed some light on some of these terminologies, like what is asylum and who can get asylum? Yeah.
First of all, this is a very key and very important question that you have asked. From my experience, at least I was privileged to visit a center in Holland, and they call it Therapo. It's a center where Africans and the whole world who are seeking asylum stay. Now, I was privileged to find out that Nigeria as a country, we are not qualified to seek asylum in Europe, in any country. Nigeria is regarded as a safe country. And these are the things that our people are supposed to even understand. If you go through the air, if you go through the underground sea, or dig yourself on the ground and go into Europe to seek asylum, nobody is going to give you asylum. Because they are looking at it that Nigeria has no that kind of issue. We are not at war, based on their own assessment. So that is why you see a lot of people, when they enter Europe, they spend 20-something years, 15 years, 16 years, they have not gotten that asylum document. So the important message I'm bringing out here is that Nigeria is not qualified for asylum, except on very, very special cases. So you can see out of maybe 1,000 applications from Nigeria, maybe one or two reasons. I am privileged as a program director and as an organization to be handling return programs from Netherlands and Denmark. You know, so far we have received up to, between March and this month, we have received over 20-something Nigerians, both male and female and family. And these people have spent years. They were rejected asylum. Why? Because they are not qualified. So what is the qualification? You don't just move as an economic migrant and decide to seek asylum in Europe. Nobody will give it to you, except maybe for cases of insecurity, war, and so far so good. And Europe sees us, the Western world sees us, that we don't have this issue.
Comrade Osita, thank you. Use the word here. Can you explain to us all what an economic migrant means?
Yes, economic migrant means those who are, for example, for those who are seeking for greener pastures. Like those who wake up and say, I don't have a job here, or the job I'm doing here is not good. I want to go to another country that have a better package and a better opportunity.
Well, thank you. So to round off this, our very interesting conversation, I would like to ask, what are the wrong ideas that people, even though you have delved into some, what are the wrong ideas that people have about migrating irregularly or regularly?
Yes, for irregular paths, a lot of people feel that it's difficult to get visa, and that assessing some of these things are very, very difficult, and it's a very big lie. You know, people create that impression, and they are creating it for their selfish reasons so that they can exploit people. That is why they are creating it. If you want to travel, go to the country you want to travel to. Find that there are criteria. If you meet up the criteria, you will go. But if you don't meet up the criteria, then it means that you are not needed, because a lot of people are traveling. There is a program we are doing recently. We call it the Legal Migration Pathway to Europe. It's a Europe-funded program. You know, we're training CSOs on legal pathway. And what is a legal pathway? I've been privileged and exposed to know that there are some existing activities in Europe that can open opportunities for people in Nigeria.
Okay.
I was made to understand that you can go to Europe and work and come back to your country. In a normal society, in an abnormal society, they call it seasonal work opportunities, where there are some places in Europe, maybe during the farm season, you can take a visa for 6 months, you go there. There's also family reunification. There are a lot of instruments, or what would I call it, opportunities in Europe that can carry you. There are family reunification. You can have a family there, you know, then they can prepare documents. Most of these things may not be as easy as we talk, but you need to prepare yourself. You know, look at the criteria. How do I get these things? And you know, before you can get a visa, they must have look at your antecedents in Nigeria. Do you operate an account? Do you even do a business? Are you even living a normal life in your country before you can come to our country? Because most of these countries are looking for people who will not come there to create problem for them.
Exactly.
I was in Italy last 2 weeks, and they were shocked that I was hurrying to go back to Nigeria. I told them I can't stay here, you know, and they were surprised to hear that. They were just looking at me. I said, I cannot stay. I'm missing home.
The local food.
Yes, I said, you don't have a goosey soup here. You don't have okra. You want me to come and stay? What am I doing? And things are pretty too expensive, you know, except for those who are earning their money. And before you can earn good money there, you need to do good job. You enter there as an irregular migrant and as a documented migrant, you're going to be working, you're going to be hiding. You can't earn a good money. You understand? But you enter there as a regular migrant who you were invited to come and earn. You know, they're going to pay you where you can meet up. So, these misinformations they are getting from people. If they tell you that passport is difficult, walk into immigration office. Immigration, they are not gorillas. They are human beings. They will direct you on how you can acquire a passport. You want to go to Italy, go to Italian embassy. They will give you the existing opportunities in their country. Go to Holland, they will give the existing. But if you avoid this and you meet one person on Yaba Road in an office and tell you I'm a traveling agency, the person is looking for his own benefit. And he will tell you that there is a lot of work you have a lot of work in Holland. Euro and dollar is flowing on the street. Bring 20 million and you will go. And you see people struggling. There's a man that sold his supermarket over 40 million and relocated the family. Now the man is regretting why relocation. Because the truth is, Europe is Europe. Africa is Africa.
Very
we are
true.
Africans.
That's
We are not Europeans.
That's true.
If we are going there, we are only going there for temporary stay and to go and get maybe money. So people should begin to think on how to make life better for them in Nigeria, make money so that you can visit there. 2 weeks with your family, come back. There's no big deal. And that is my message.
Thank you so much, Comrade Osita. This has been a very engaging and enlightening session, and I am very sure that even our viewers today would agree that we have learned quite a lot about migration. And if you want to Japa, follow who know road. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank
And
you.
once again, my name is Enitan Ibironke. I am the anchor for the Blue Table Talk Show, and the guest with me in the studio was Comrade Osita Osemene, the Executive Director and Program Director for PCI, Patriotic Citizens Initiative. Thank you. It's been a pleasure having you on the program with us today.
Thank you.